Hello, my name is James Kirkland, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about why the FDA's defect levels or defect action levels policy should not change. To begin, a little bit of information about what that organization is, what that policy is. So, the organization is the FDA, or the Food and Drug Administration. This is a federal agency that is set to ensure safety standards are met when it comes to different things for consumers like food, medicine, medical devices, cosmetics, even, so your makeup, things like that. They put standards in place to ensure that those products are safe for consumers. Um, and if they're not, then regulation is enforced to either keep that harmful product off the market or just stop it from ever going into production in the first place. So, that being said, under Title 21 of the Code of Federal Regulations, which kind of sets standards for different government agencies and what they can and can't do. Title 21 covers the FDA. They also cover the DEA and another federal drug agency, but more on the FDA side of things. They deal more with food, medicine as well, but most importantly, food is what we're talking here. Under this Title 21 in the Code of Federal Regulations, the FDA has a policy called the defect action levels, or defect levels as well. You might hear them referred to as different things by different people, but basically what the defect levels policy has to deal with is different defects, or we call them fragments, that you might find in the production of food, especially mass production, just unavoidable defects that you're going to find when it comes to producing food. Now, what these defects are, depending on the person, they might be trivial. They might be really gross, and you might never want to eat a certain food again after hearing this speech. But things like insect fragments, legs, cricket legs, just different body parts, things like that. Rodent hairs and mold are going to be some of the most common things, and the quantities are a little bit shocking as well, depending on the food. So anyway, the defect action levels kind of sets the standard for the amounts of these defects that can be found in certain foods before they are, pushed to consumers or even allowed to consumers. So basically, they have a table with a list of different foods, and next to each food, they have, common defects that are going to be found in them that are just unavoidable. Part of what this policy, actually all of what this policy is saying that, these are going to be found in these products regardless. They're natural, they're unavoidable, and they're not harmful, below these amounts. Anything higher than amounts may be considered harmful and may or may not be regulated based on, a decision by one of the agents working for the FDA. So I have a direct quote from the FDA from November 6th, 2001. Some foods, even when produced under good manufacturing practice, contain natural or unavoidable defects that at low levels are not hazardous to health. That's all the defect levels policy is basically saying. So an example of some of the foods that you might find under this policy, you might find some different things in, are going to be things like paprika. When it comes to paprika, you can expect to find at least a 20% mold count. You can also probably find 75 insect fragments per gram of paprika. So that's pretty gross. Chocolate, big favorite. 60 insect fragments per 100 grams, as well as one or more rodent hairs per 100 grams. So things like this are safe. They're unavoidable. basically what this policy is saying. These things are most likely going to be found in this food, but it's okay within these levels. Ground black pepper, 475 insect fragments per 50 grams. That's a lot. That is quite a lot. So things like that, totally safe. Might be a little gross, but the FDA is telling us that these are safe to eat, within these levels, within these amounts. No need to panic. So basically the problem with, my topic here is what is safe and unsafe to eat. And when it comes to, that problem, the solution is pretty simple. It's don't change this policy at all. It really helps ensure that safety standards are met when it comes to producing food for consumers. That's all it's doing. There's no reason that it should change. It's telling us, hey, these are unavoidable, but also they're doing the testing, they're doing the science to test what is and is not harmful in different amounts in different foods. So by documenting those test results, they're establishing a universal standard for us as consumers as to what is safe and not safe to eat. They're also weeding out, potentially harmful sources of food for us, so we can avoid, any, sickness or diseases that might come from, a wheat crop with a particularly high, mold count or something like that. They're keeping us safe from things like that. So, just coming from directly from the FDA Defect Action Levels Handbook, which I think this particular section was written October 26, 2018, so last year, pretty recent update. The FDA set these action levels because it is economically impractical to grow, harvest, or process raw products that are totally free of non-hazardous defects, naturally occurring, unavoidable defects. Products harmful to consumers are subject to regulatory action whether or not they exceed the action levels. So this isn't even, basically all this is saying is that the table saying, hey, you have 475 insect fragments per 50 grams of black pepper. That's not a hard, if there's 476 fragments, then pull it from the shelves kind of deal. So that's all they're saying is they determine, at the end of the day, they determine, hey, what's safe and unsafe, and they know through the testing that they've done that this product is going to be safe for consumers, even though it's got a couple cricket legs in it. And that's just, it's gross, but that's just life. So, my solution to the problem of, what is safe and what isn't safe to eat is just leaving this policy as is, let the FDA continue to test and figure out what is safe when it comes to, mold or insect fragments or, rodent hairs that might be found in our food. If these things are unavoidable, then, what is there to do really? What can you do? Like they said in my first quote, even through good manufacturing practices, certain things are just unavoidable, and it's really impractical to try and, probably pull every rodent hair out of, a box of cereal or something like that. It's just not gonna fly. So, yeah, at the end of the day, this policy is keeping us safe. It's separating the harmful, foods from, safe to eat foods, and it's letting us know that, hey, a couple rat hairs in the old grain basket's not going to kill us. So at the end of the day, I think this policy is actually helpful. It kind of gives consumers an idea of what to expect in the food that they're purchasing. So I have another quote just to kind of tie things off. This is from Men's Health magazine from November of 2015. There must be less than 2,500 aphids per 10 grams of hops. So, hops goes into making your beer. There's protein in your beer. That's a fun fact you didn't know. But thanks to the FDA, we know that we can have almost 3,000 little green bugs swimming around in the beer. So, yeah.